So now we know how we can generate different shapes, or particularly circle, and how we can generate a point. For generating a point, we just need to use new, then the point, and then the coordinates. The coordinate system starts from here at the corner 0, 0, and then we have positive x here in this direction and positive y in this direction. And after saving the path in a variable, then we can access the attributes of that particular path or the shape with the dot operator, and then we just change the color as we saw in here. Now what we need to do in next step, we need to interact with the DOM with our keyboards. As soon as we hit some keys, some functionality should be shown. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for the interactions, and under interaction you can see keyboard interactions. And in keyboard interactions we have two predefined functions for us: on key down and on key up. And whenever the key is pushed down, the on key event, or you can say the on key function, is uh, triggered. And the point to note is here, the on key down event is fired continuously while key is held down. So if you are going to hold down a key and keep it down only, or you can keep it pressed only, then the function is continuously going to get triggered. Okay. And the event object, or you can say there is an object that is accessible through these two functions, and we pass it as event, and then we can access that event. And event object is going to have an information about the event. For this particular function, it will be having three main things, that is event.key, and this is the most important thing that we need for our project, that we need different animation and different color of shapes getting up displayed on our screen on different keys. So for that we need to identify which key was pressed. So in that case, key dot event dot key will be very helpful. And we also have event dot character, the character that the key press is generated. This will for an example, if you are pressing a G letter, then this is going to give us the letter G, that G letter was pressed. Okay. So let's console that event object, and just write the function. The function was on key down and on key up. There are two functions, so I'm just going to copy this and paste it. And I'm going to console dot log. I'm going to do console dot log event, and we are going to see what the event is. So let's see what we have. Let's inspect it and open the console window, and let's hit any key. So as soon as I press any key, we have an object in front of us. The type is key down, and event is keyboard event, and key is D. I was pressing the letter key D, and if I press the letter G, H, or J, K, you can see in here under the character we have the following key, which was the key that was pressed. Okay. And then we also have under key, we also have that particular key that was pressed. And if I'm going to go for the capital F, then you can see here the key still says F, but the character is capital F. Okay. Similarly goes for the 2. If I press 2 or shift 2 at the rate, and this works for all the keys, but we are more focused on the letter from A to Z keys. Okay. So for now, not taking separately, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove this, or actually cut this out and paste it in here, and see if the things are working very good or not, and just indent it properly. And I'm just going to uh, refresh it, and I'm going to press any key. As soon as I hit a key, you can see in here the object is displayed. I'm also going to inspect it, and let's console.log it out also while displaying the circles. So I'm again going to write console.log and event, and enter save, command save console window, and I'm going to press a key. So as soon as I press the key G, you can see in here the shapes that we defined earlier are displayed now. Okay, so we have achieved that now. So now what we want this figure, particularly this figure, to randomly appear anywhere as soon as I hit key. Okay, for that I need to again go to the geometry, under geometry, then mathematical operations, and under that we have random value. So this particular piece of code helps us to generate a random point, and that random point we are going to give as an input to these points, and we are going to achieve the things. Okay, so I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it right here, and point will be the random point, and point dot random is going to generate a point whose x coordinate will be between 0 to 1 and y coordinate also will be between 0 to 1. And as soon as I multiply it with a point which is 50 into 100, then we will be having a random point generated between for x it will be 0 to 50, and for y it will be 0 to 100. Y can be 0 to 100 randomly. It is similar as math.random function. It generates a number from 0 to 1, and then we multiply it with the limit to which extend to which up to which number we want a random number to be generated. So let's now give an input as point here, just the point, or actually let's give it a random point. Okay, random, it makes more sense to me. Okay, random point, let's let r be small. Just copy it and command D. Okay, let's command D and remove it and paste it. Okay, so let's see what we have in here as soon as I hit key. So as soon as I hit key, the whatever the figure was appeared here. Let me again hit it, and you can see one more shape was there. Previous shape was not removed, and you can see randomly it is generating. And since it is generating from 50 to, let me extend it to 500 into 500 so that it could be well spread. Okay, so again I'm hitting a key. You can see it is generating circles at different positions every time I hit any key. Okay, and this is what we have achieved. You can see here only red circles we are seeing, or red circles. Actually red and blue circles both are there, but both are on the same point. That is why they are overlaying each other. That is why we are able to see only one point. And I can change the random number, or you can say the points differently for both of them. I can have a point, random point 1, random point 2, and 1 for this and 2 for this. Let's hit save, and let's see what we have. We have now blue is occurring at different place, red is occurring at the different places. You can see both of them are having a different random point. Again they are still under the limits of 500 into 500, and now what we want to spread this random number all across the window. So we need to know what is the height and the width of the window. Okay, for that we have an object. Go to references, and under references we will be having view, and you can see here the view object wraps an HTML element and handles drawing and user interactions through mouse and keyboards on it. And we are more focused on the properties of size property of view, and size property of view has two more attributes, or you can say properties, and that are height and width. So if I'm going to write to do view dot size dot width, and similarly I'm going to do for height. Control C, command C, and height, height, and this will give me a random number or random point all across the window, or you can say all across the viewpoint. Okay, all across the view. Now things should be different. Now the number, or you can say the shapes, it should be generated randomly all over the window. You can see now the shapes are generated all over the windows, and we have access to any point randomly over all this window. Okay, so what will be the next step now? Next step would be doing animation or changing the things out. We don't want them to be stick around here. What we want them to shrink down, to reduce their size. Okay, for that let's again go to tutorials and animations. We want animation, we want to create animation. So for that we have an function on frame, and we again have an access to the object event in here, and event is the same object event. Okay, and what is on frame? The on frame handler function receives an event object which contains information about the event. The number of times the frame event was fired. Okay, the count says the number of times frame event was fired, the total amount of time passed since the first frame event is seconds. So what is our on frame function? So on frame functions runs continuously within certain amount of time or certain amount of, just like we have film or the reels. What is video? Actually a video is collection of photographs or frames that are displayed to us within a certain gap of time, and we see it as an animation or continuous going on event, but actually they are just frozen points that are continuously shown to us. So on frame does the same. On frame is a function that is triggered at certain amount of time, after certain amount of time, or after certain amounts of milliseconds. It is again and again executing itself. Okay, so we are going to use the same function, and you can see in here on, yeah, an example in here that where the square is rotating itself, and you can see that we have a path dot rotate. So path dot rotate, what path dot rotate does, it just rotates the figure to 3 degrees, or you can say that it's each frame. So it is firstly rotating it to 3 degrees, in next frame it is again rotating it to 3 degrees, and we see it as a continuous motion. If I'm going to increase the 3 degree to uh, 30, you may see something very runny. You can see here it is continuously running and all. If I see a 90, then you can see the figure will be constant, because it is first it was 90, again it was 90, so there is no difference.